If you're in a calorie deficit and the diet is not working for you, here's what you need to know to get that turned around. If a calorie deficit hasn't worked for you and you want to lose fat, this is what you've got to do. And I'm Nathan Johnson, founder of Autonomy. I've helped over 1,000 South Asians get in shape and stay in shape forever, eating traditional food if they want to. And I've also been London's best personal trainer. Now, the beauty of a calorie deficit is that this is the mechanism that is logical, research-backed, and the foundation of any diet that you could possibly go on, even if you choose some of the methods. A principle is the lowest tier of thing that is truth. The principle is the A plus B equals C. That's a principle. Just above that is a method. So how you achieve that principle. There are 10 different, 15, 100 million different ways that you can achieve a calorie deficit, including things like intermittent fasting, low carb, juice diets, but more appropriately, tracking food, eating normal meals underneath a calorie deficit, having variations of traditional food, for example. They all achieve the same thing, just done differently. This would be like driving to work, but you've chosen to drive a Tesla or a Mercedes or a Porsche. A method of dieting is just like a method of transport to get to your workplace. You've got the car, you've got the train, you've got the tube, you've got the bus, you've got an Uber, you've got a helicopter. These are all different ways that you can get to your location. They're called methods or cars. Depending on the method you choose and your ability to stick to it will determine how much you stay in a calorie deficit. Because if you pick a method like a helicopter that isn't economical, it isn't easy to get, it's super high, it's super expensive, and it might not be super consistent 7 days a week, you might find that you miss work more often if you try to go in a helicopter than you would do walking or going in a car. Most people who have failed at a calorie deficit haven't failed at a calorie deficit, they've failed at the method of achieving a calorie deficit. So here's how you figure out if it's the method or the principle that is the issue. Step number 1, with the principle. If you times your body weight in pounds by 10 or 12, you'll get a number of calories on a day-to-day basis that you will be needing to eat to lose fat. So that means that if that number is there and you're doing that every day for 14 to 21 days every day, which I'll come back to in a minute, you will then get the fat loss that you need. And when you have that number, it will be important as a way to find the method to track that number. You can track numbers in terms of MyFitnessPal, in terms of food that you're tracking. You've got AI software that you type in what you ate and it'll give you a predictive model. You've got meal plans that will structure what meals to have, and as long as you follow that, you've hit the numbers. You've got portion sizes, and as long as those are portion sizes in the right way, you'll get that number as well. So there's loads of ways to hit that. However, if over a 7 and 14 day period, you deviate from the structure of any method that you utilize, you will be putting yourself in a situation where it's you, not the principle or the method. Most people who have tried a calorie deficit and it's not worked with a calorie deficit, and then you ask them, hey, how long did you do it for? Well, I did it for 14 days, or I did it for 3 months. Okay, out of those 3 months, out of those 90 days, how many days did you exactly do it? So no guessing, no additional bites, no drinks of orange juice, no extra calories going in. You've accounted for your oils and your butters and your cooking seasonings and your takeaways and your socializing. Out of that 90 days, how many days did you realistically do? And most people will go from 90 days of doing a calorie deficit and it'll be down to less than 30 days. Because I used to be the worst dieter in the history of diets. That's how I became a great coach, because I sucked at dieting. And I know that when I've got poor habits, my poor habits don't go away just because I'm on a diet. So the extra little cheat meal that I had at the weekend, or the extra little bit of mum's food that I ate, or the little spoonfuls of dessert that I had that no one was watching when I had, or an extra biscuit here, or the kids' food there, they all count towards that calorie deficit. Used to be a calorie deficit anyway, and now it's not a calorie deficit, and now you've not got the results that you want to get. So most people can turn what they think into 90 days of being a calorie deficit down to 30, and on the other 60 days, they're actually eating more than their maintenance, and they're actually gaining fat. So over the course of like the 60, 90 days, they've had 30 days of dieting and then 60 days of non-dieting, leading to like a balancing act in terms of their body weight and staying in the same position, leading to them not thinking that the calorie deficit has worked. And having worked with 1,000 South Asian people, been London's best personal trainer, and been a coach now for 10 to 12 years, it's always the user error, always. And there are shit coaches out there. There are people that don't put you on the right plans and give you the right methods and the right principles. But majority of the time, I've seen people get amazing results on shit diets because they were following it. You know, followed a 900 calorie diet for 12 weeks, lost 20 kilos. It wasn't the best and I ended up gaining my weight back. But I did the 900 calories and I did it and I lost lots of weight. So I know that there's issues within the applicability of the diet itself. The reason why you're probably watching this and you've clicked on this video is because you believe that the calorie deficit hasn't worked for you. What will happen is we will have blind spots with our food and our emotions. I seen a quote the other day that said, your emotional reaction to how people treat you about your diet is one of the biggest factors of whether you have high or low emotional regulation. So dieting, food, and what you put into your mouth is something that people can hold you accountable to, and we tend to either love accountability or we hate it. When we hate it, we tend to ignore it. And if we hate it and ignore it, and we don't recognize it, we're telling ourselves a story that might have not happened because we're not being aware. And we tell ourselves, and I've done this myself, is, oh, that wasn't that important. Oh, I missed my exercise on that day and that day or that day. Or, oh, I had a bit more on this day and this day. Oh, it doesn't matter, I was good for the rest of the week. What we tell ourselves psychologically leads to you losing weight, gaining weight, or thinking that you should have lost weight when you actually should have gained weight and when you did. So knowing what you tell yourself when it comes to dieting will determine how truthful you are with yourself. And the people that are the most truthful with themselves, and they know their shit stinks, as I like to say, they're the people you can help and move better and move towards a calorie deficit in a better way because they're open and honest about their failure points. And you watching this video and your response to how I'm saying this will determine whether you've been lying to yourself or not. Because if you've just turned off the video and you haven't watched this part, you'll be ignorant to your own truth. And if you're still watching this video, you might know there's a hint of truth and you now need to explore how often, realistically, have you not been doing that calorie deficit. The major crux is that you have what we call emotional rationalization or emotional reasoning. And it always starts with, because I had X, I did Y. This is X, so Y. Or if it's this, what, then it's that. There's this emotional reasoning that if I had a bad day, so I had extra alcohol. And then we forget that we've had that because we justified it. We justified, I had a bad day, it was a busy week, I've just had a takeaway. Then when someone asks you 2 days later, oh, did you follow your diet last week? You're like, yeah, I did. But because you've emotionally rationalized it, you haven't recognized that was a particular problem. And we do this all the time, every day, to just cope with general life. Oh, I've had a busy week, let me just do this. Or, oh yeah, I'm hungry now, oh, go on, I'll have this. We do it every day. And the concept of emotional rationalization, the more we do it, the less we get, because the less truthful we are in a way. And the most important thing is that you probably don't even realize that you're doing it and you don't believe this is you. Because the type of conversations I've had with clients over the years who truly believe they're doing exactly what they should do and not getting the results, and then you dive deep into their life and they point out particular flaws and they're like, oh, but it's only, got ya. It's only, it was only that one time. Got ya. Oh, but the weekends are, got ya. Oh, don't think about the kids' food. Got ya. Oh, but it's only one glass of wine. Got ya. And these moments are the moments that change you from being in a calorie deficit to being at a calorie maintenance. And if you're not at the results that you want to get, those rationalization decisions, and the amount of them is determining your results right now. So there's no steps here. There's no meal plan I'm going to give you. There's no structure I'm going to give you. What I'm going to say is, now that you know that the calorie deficit was there, it always has worked, it always will work, but it's your applicability to it, then now you can go and change your relationship with how you justify things when you're off a diet or bad days or busy at weekends. Or you can now start looking at the holes in your diet, holes in your method, and find better ones. If you get to the weekend and you don't know how to accommodate alcohol into your diet and your coach or the diet that you're using doesn't allow you to do that, fire them, come work with us. If you don't know how to eat mum's cooking and get on a diet and still lose weight, come and see us. We'll help you that. Traditional food is our pierre de resistance. We help our clients with that all of the time. But if you just look at making those small changes, which is small changes up here, you'll be able to be consistent on a calorie deficit for long enough to see the results that you want to see. And when you do that, the results are going to show. And then when you see the results, you can repeat that time and time again because you've got repetitive habits that produce a result. If you've been in a calorie deficit and you haven't lost any weight, here is your cue to go and get the results that you want and deserve. Now you can change the way that you think about a calorie deficit to get the results that you want to get.